Hey everyone, today we're lucky enough to be joined by Pat Searson, who runs Rugby Development Coach, which is an online training platform for rugby players. Pat is an absolute font of knowledge in psychology, nutrition, physical training, and how to be free. So Pat, thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you. I'm just laughing. If my sister watches this, she's going to hate that you said that. He's good at psychology.
Pat's really wise. Why? She's actual psychologist?
Yeah.
Oh, right, okay.
And she always says to me, "You're not a psychologist." So I'm like, "Oh, I've just been a coach for 10 years. It's the same thing nearly."
She's done all the study and you're just claiming it.
Yeah, that's right. Well, she's been at university for it, and I've just done all the actually hard work trying to get to people to change.
Talking to real people.
Talking to real people, making people make change in their life, going into their heads and being like, "Well, why aren't you changing? Why don't you want to get better?"
Yeah, totally. Yeah, mate. Hands-on. I think hands-on. Well, your sister might disagree, but I think hands-on trumps the.
Yeah, I definitely think you need both, right?
Yeah.
I got a hands-on, but the hands-on made me go, let's go explore this. Let's go explore, what is it that gets someone to make a change in their life or whatever. Like, my big thing is getting people stronger, fitter, faster. How can I get them to actually want to go and do that? What do I have to do? And I'm just asking those questions let me go into that, rabbit hole and start understanding that. So yeah, that you need both. You need that hands-on and you need the
theory.
Yeah, the theory of it.
And what is it that makes people change?
It depends on the person.
Yeah.
It depends on the person. Most people will only change when they've had enough.
Right.
And enough is enough. They've had enough pain in their life or whatever they're experiencing and they want to get away from that. And then people make change.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I can see that. All right, Pat. I really want to get into talking nutrition with you. Maybe we could start out by sort of you talking about some of your thoughts on nutrition, particularly for rugby players.
All right. Well, first of all, you got to start off with what do you want to achieve from your nutrition. Okay. So I'm always wondering on someone, what does someone want to achieve? What do they need to get out of their body? And when I think about nutrition, I'm always thinking about it as a fuel source, right? And not just a fuel source as in, like you put petrol in the car and the car runs. It's, okay, our bodies are much more sophisticated than a car. When you're putting food into your mouth, water, whatever it may be, it's fuel and it gives you energy. But it's also doing a whole bunch of other things. Like it's also signaling, getting your hormones to work properly, your neurotransmitters, and these are the sort of things that will give you focus and make you alert, make you want to go and achieve things, and so it's a really important thing for me is actually the quality of someone's food, straight up. So if you're eating better quality food, then it's going to be easier to fuel their body in a way that enhances all aspects of their performance.
So it's a more complex system than like a car where you're just putting energy in and then expecting to get sort of a binary response out. It's like energy in and then you've got energy to do your everyday life. There's more to it than that. Yeah, definitely.
And that's why I say you got to look at your goals, okay? Because if you look at your goals, say like fat loss. Right, fat loss is really simple. Like, if most people will just look at it as an energy expenditure thing, right? And yes, if you want to lose fat, you do need to, use more energy than that you are putting back in. There's many ways to do that rather than just looking at dropping your calories. Right. So there's many ways to do that. Obviously, getting stronger is going to be one of those. So your body's burning more fuel. Then you can add in like cold showers, and there's lots of different ways.
By having more muscle, you're just naturally burning more fuel, or is it about muscle? Or
Yep. So if you have more muscle, then you're going to be at a higher metabolic rate, and your body's going to use more fuel.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, and you'll be storing more glycogen too. So usually you'll be more insulin sensitive. So when you're having your carbohydrates, all that means is it's like after you work out, your body's more insulin sensitive. So your GLUT4 molecules in the cell are then bringing in the insulin. Right, and carbohydrates will spark that insulin, and they'll be able to bring it in, turn it into and store glycogen in the muscles.
Got most of that, mate.
Trying to get most of that. Try to keep it as simple as possible. You got to think about, like, after you work out, the muscle wants to then heal itself. So we got the muscle, and it's like, okay, I need nutrients now. I need to heal. Yep. Okay, so what does it need? It needs amino acids, and so that's the foundations is the amino acids, and then it needs energy again because you just spent out all this energy, and that stores it in forms of glycogen. All right, and glycogen gets broken down into parts of your energy to create energy.
All right, that's probably more my speed.
That better?
Yeah, that's better. So. I mean, I know a lot of the people who join your rugby program are generally young athletes.
Yep.
So, as you said, it depends on their goals.
Yep.
But what are some of the changes that you generally try and suggest to people who join your program from a nutrition perspective?
Steak for breakfast.
Okay.
Steak. That's my biggest one. I think it's straight away. I say, if you can have protein in the morning.
Yep.
You're going to be so much more alert. You're going to be more focused. You're going to have more dopamine, which is going to make you want to go and achieve your goals.
Actually want to train.
Yeah, actually want to train. And it's starting off your day in a way that's going to align with all the other stuff that we're trying to achieve. Yeah, okay, so the easiest thing is to have a steak for breakfast.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that's always my go-to is number one.
Yeah, just a steak by itself.
No, if you want to have other things, steak, eggs, avocado, your fats, bacon, berries. If someone needs to put on more weight, then berries, yogurt, they all align. But as long as you get that first bit of protein, especially like you're having a steak, which is high in tyrosine, which gets turned into L-DOPA, and then L-DOPA turns into dopamine, and then you'll be focused. Yeah,
right. Yeah, so then it comes back to the mind, right?
Yeah, like it's always going to come back to that mind, right? Because like your mind is everything. Like as a football player, if you're in the right headspace, it's just so much easier to knock off your goals. Like it's so much easier to be like, oh yep, I'm going to go work out. Yep, I'm going to eat well. Yes, I'm going to have water over this, over a beer,
soft drink,
or whatever. You know, it's just so much easier, and that's what life should be like. Decisions should be easy, and they're not usually because, or not usually, but in a lot of instances, it's because you haven't done the work. Like you haven't had the steak for breakfast, which has made you calm, made everything else easier, or you haven't worked out. So
I think steak for breakfast also sends a signal, like, you know, I'm different, I'm on a mission, and I'm a rugby player. I just had steak for breakfast.
Yeah, well, it's also helping you hit your protein needs, right? Like I like my guys to have anywhere between 200 to 300 grams of protein a day. So if you up that high, then you got to get your steak in. You got to get your meat in.
Because the 250 gram steak's going to have what, like 40 or 50 grams of protein? What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's around 35.
Okay.
Yeah,
but that's a good start.
It's a good start. You're on your way. And then adding other things like collagen, protein, things like that for the connective tissue as well is going to be really important.
Yeah, awesome. All right, so start the day with protein. Ideally, just have a steak, and then if you're more hungry, eggs. If you're trying to put on weight, maybe throw some carbohydrates in as well.
Definitely. It's just so easy. It's so clean. Like people are like, oh, I don't have time. Like if you think about a steak, like it literally it takes me like 5 minutes to cook my steak. Like I have mine fairly raw. Yeah. Like it's pretty red. Yeah. It's pretty much seared on both sides. But you know, like it literally takes me 5 minutes. And you know, like how long does cereal take you?
Yeah.
And then how quick are you hungry after eating cereal?
Oh, mate, totally. Cooking a steak literally takes 5 minutes. I mean, ideally you take it out, you let it get to room temperature. But even if you're in a hurry, pop it in a pan with butter. Yeah, be red in the middle, but crispy on the outside.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. It's the quickest thing. It's so quick.
Yeah. Same with eggs in a pan. There is no excuse.
No, that's right. It's probably actually one of the fastest, most nutritious meals, like eggs and steak.
Yeah,
you know, like that is a real winner because with the eggs you actually get a lot of choline.
Right. Okay.
And that choline assists with acetylcholine, and so that will also help you focus throughout the day.
You mentioned before about feeling calm from eating steak. Is that just because you're so satiated, you're not thinking about food all the time, or?
I would say so. I would say like if it's anything, because I'm not 100% sure on this, but
I felt it.
I would say that a lot of people who normally have breakfast don't usually have things that. So most breakfasts are quite processed.
Yeah, totally.
And have a lot of sugar and
like cornflakes.
Yeah, and these things are going to cause inflammation in the gut. All right, and when we have an inflammatory response, it's very common to feel not so calm, a little bit anxious.
I know that feeling well.
And so that's why if you start off with the steak in the morning, it's much easier to stay calm because it's not a high. You're not going to get that sugar rush. You're going to feel a lot better. It's very easy for the body to digest. The protein's very bioavailable compared to like a cereal protein, which is usually plant-based protein. And it's not going to be very bioavailable, which means your guts aren't going to absorb it very well, and you're not going to be able to use that protein anywhere near as well as something like steak.
I like that. Talking about the gut, Pat's a Mackenzie's Meats customer. We're lucky enough to deliver him a box every week. And you're big on the...
One of the originals.
You are definitely one of the originals. Yeah, I'm very lucky to have you on board. And you're on the oxtail. You're one of the few customers who gets the oxtail regularly. I've had it, inspired by you. And I put it in a slow cooker last week. It was really, really nice. Matt, what do you like about the oxtail?
Oxtail. So... slow cooked meats, all right. So I dropped collagen before, but slow cooked meats are so anything that's attached to the bone, I should say, which is, and then we want to slow cook, right?
T-bones, lamb chops.
Yeah.
Lamb
shoulder. You probably won't get as much from those, but you can scoop out the parts where the collagen is, which is like up in the top a little bit there, which is like the
on the lamb chop.
And top, the marrow, So we can get that too. So the marrow, these are the good places. Like these are as athletes or any human, right? This is what you want to be eating, right? Because this is what's going to help out your own connective tissue. And we're in a pandemic right now, and no one's actually talked about your connective tissue in your stomach, which is actually a defense mechanism against everything, as in like your immune system. Like it's one of the biggest parts of your immune system is this lining that we have. And then if we think about rugby players, all your joints all come from this same connective tissue. And so when you eat, slow cooked meat, you're getting this connective tissue. You're actually giving your body back what it needs to heal itself, to keep things strong. And if you don't actually feed yourself these foods that are high in this connective tissue or this collagen protein, what happens is your body will get it. Your body's able to make it, right, from a certain amino acids. But if you're not giving it, and most people don't hit these amino acids because they don't eat these foods, they don't eat their bone broths, they don't eat the slow cooked meats. What happens is the body's actually going to get these amino acids from elsewhere in the body, so like your own ligaments, all right, and it's going to bring it to the place where it wants it the most.
Which is what, the gut?
Which is the gut.
So
right?
It's taking it from
you will have less connective tissue in other areas.
Stealing it from your ACL.
Yeah, well, stealing it from your ACL. And you look at how many people have soft tissue injuries.
Yeah.
And you realise that, okay, maybe there's this thing called nutrition, which maybe we could actually be helping out. So people have stronger ligaments, tendons. There's so much more going on than just the actual side of the footy training side of things. So the strength training. The strength training is always going to help those things. We can actually develop the tendons and ligaments so we don't have these big crucial injuries. But realistically, the body wants to stay alive. All right, and like the organs are more critical to them than the ligaments.
100%. Yeah. Oh, that's fascinating. Yeah, it sort of comes back to the idea of like being a healthy person, like everywhere, like in your gut, in your mind, and your body, and then that translating into, say, becoming a better rugby player. Like if you are a healthy person who's got good immunity and like you're resilient, you've got strong ligaments and that sort of thing. Like I don't know what you think, but to me it makes sense that they're going to have a more successful rugby career than somebody who's
definitely
treating their body like shit.
One of the things I learned from Charles Poliquin was to get the athletes healthy.
Yeah, right.
To get athletes healthy, because like it's like what comes first, right? Like do you build muscle first, or do you have the mind first, or do you have the immune system first? All right, I'm going to break that down a little bit more. But so you can't build a lot of muscle without a healthy immune system.
Right.
Because what will happen is you'll continually get sick. Because what you're doing when you're working out is you're actually putting a big stress on the body.
Okay.
And so like if you've ever done a really hard block of training, what usually happens after that block of training, if you've gone too far, you get sick, you get a cold.
Yeah, totally.
And it's just, you've just put so much stress on the body. Alright? And if you have a stronger immune system, that's not going to happen.
Right.
Alright? And then even during that phase, or that block of work that you'll be doing, you're less likely to get sick, and if you're sick, you're not going to be able to exert anywhere as much power, or you won't be able to get the reps out, so you won't be able to get the intensity or the volume out that you were hoping. So yeah, it's actually really important to have a strong immune system, and then that's going to go along with the mind, right? Because if your guts aren't working properly, then your mind isn't going to work. It's not going to be clear, all right? Because a lot of these neurotransmitters are actually made in the gut.
That's something that I've only really gotten my head around recently. But once you start to look out for it and you notice how your mood, and I've experienced this, how your mood changes based on what you've been putting in your body. And sometimes it might take 24 hours for that to kind of develop. Like, you have a really bad meal that upsets your guts, and then 24 hours later you're feeling down in the dumps. So there's a reason for this. Yeah,
massively. Like I recently this year, like I went through a period where I couldn't eat a lot of things, and it came down to my stomach acid was really low. And I was just going through a stressful time in my life, and everything was a bit different, and I wasn't giving myself the normal supplements that I would have to support myself.
Like what?
My main one is zinc. Zinc is a big one because you need zinc to make hydrochloric acid. And hydrochloric acid is the acidity that we have in our stomach that helps break down food, and then after we've broken down our food, our body will use it. So HCl, or hydrochloric acid, is a big one. And so as soon as I boosted back up my zinc properly, my body, like, I started breaking down my food again. I had no more problems. I felt a whole lot better. Everything became better.
So when you were going through that difficult time, had you changed your diet, or it was more that life was more stressful, like more an environmental thing?
It was probably more an environmental thing, sure. And it can happen to anyone. Like it really can. Like the only difference is I'm aware of it.
Yeah, 100%.
Like I know
people know that they're making it worse by.
Yeah. And like people just think it's normal to feel tired. Like I never feel tired. I'm 100% go all the time. And
I bet I would say 9 people out of 10 or more are tired almost all the time.
Yeah, and just having like brain fog and just not being motivated to do things.
Absolutely.
Like these are very common things. And
like looking for that opportunity to rest. I felt like that before as well. It's like, I'll be able to rest tomorrow or something like that, rather than thinking I just want to go and get things done. Yeah,
exactly. Like, some people can burn themselves out too. Like there is that end of the scale. But most people that I've dealt with need that push to get going.
Yeah, okay.
And if I can help them with their gut health, it's going to help them with their sleep, and then it's going to help them in all the other areas of their life.
Yeah. Absolutely. The endless energy, I think, is a big one. Like so many people will crash at 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah.
Or as soon as they get home from work, and then productivity stops.
Yeah, I have no problems if people like want to have a rest or something in the afternoon. Like we do have our daily natural fluctuations in energy.
Yeah.
It's whether that like you can, is it something that is holding you back? Do you know what I mean? Like every day you're going to have fluctuations in energy. So like in the morning you should wake up and you should be fairly aroused because you should be ready to go. Because your cortisol, which is your stress hormone, should be quite high.
This is in the morning?
In the morning.
Yep.
And then as we go out throughout the day, it should start going back down, like that cortisol. And it should have spikes during the day, and you'll have lows, and like that's quite normal. But what's not normal is it taking you to an extent where you can't do anything. Or you can't get off the couch, you can't go and get your workout done, or even the simple factors like how many people just go home and then won't cook themselves a meal and they'll go to a fast food because they don't feel like they can, or they just don't have the motivation to do that.
Yeah, and then it just gets worse.
Yeah, just the compounding effect, right?
Yeah, totally. All right, Pat, we're going to shift a little bit, and I want you to pretend I'm one of your young up-and-coming rugby stars.
Right.
What do I eat 24 hours before match day? Say I'm playing at 3 p.m. on a Saturday.
Look, I try and keep it for anyone. Like, say you want to eat well for the next day, right? Most people will go in with a really high carb meal the evening before, and like if that works for you, then great. Like if you feel like that makes you feel like really good, then go for it.
Yeah.
Ideally, I would be sticking to your normal routine because rugby's not that long of a match where you need to have like lots of carbohydrates on board. Like you still want to have carbohydrates on board, but it's not like you need to go and get a whole pasta into you just because you need it for the next day. I prefer just keeping it clean, making sure that it's something that you're used to, like a steak and your veggies and your potatoes, so you're getting your carbs, you're just getting your full array of macronutrients and micronutrients. So like your micronutrients will be coming from your meats and your organs and things like that. Okay. So like the night before, I'm not too fussed about. Like I'll give you an example of Gonza's diet before he likes to go and have a pizza and play PlayStation
on a Friday night.
Fair enough. That's been his routine for like forever now.
Yeah, well, it works for him.
And he's happy with it, and like so fine, so be it. Like if that makes someone happy, and they go into the next day feeling like they're calm, excited, that's great. That's where it's at. But you know what? He wakes up on the Saturday morning and he has like 2 steaks usually and potatoes and he goes to town that morning and then he doesn't eat for the rest of the day.
Yeah, right.
So
I kind of like that approach because you don't want to be running out of food in your belly.
Yeah, no, I've done it a few times. It's not nice. I once had it was a late game and I had a sushi or something for a game, and it was like half an hour before. I was just sat there the whole time. I was like, oh god, that was a bad mistake. That
one. Okay, cool. All right, so stick to your normal routine. Probably go for something kind of clean with protein the night before, unless you're gons.
Yeah, you don't want to upset your gut. Like you want to feel your best you can. So
yeah, totally.
And you want to get your best sleep as well. So. I wouldn't go too extravagant. Did I say that right?
Extravagant.
Yeah, that'll do.
Yeah, nice. Okay, that's helpful. And then to shift speed again.
Yeah. Love shift speeds.
Yeah. I'm just switching it up. Before I met you, I think you had just finished your trip around Australia. I feel like that's when I would have first come across you.
Yeah, somewhere.
When was that? When did you
I came back late 2019.
Yeah. Okay.
I came back to the world.
How long were you away for?
8 months. 8 months on my own, me and my dog. We travelled Australia for 8 months. It was what a time to be alive.
in a troopy, which is like a 4-wheel drive you can sleep in the back of.
Yeah. So I bought a troopy. So the whole thing was the year before I'd been working in the gym for 9.5 years or something like that.
Wow.
And
you went the same gym or gyms?
In the same gym, yeah. I'd been in the same place for
really
9.5 years.
Yeah.
And like I loved it. Like I loved all my clients. It was great training people.
Mm-hmm.
And I was trying to build RDC at the same time.
Yeah.
And my goal was always been, I'm going to get to 1,000 people online. I'm going to have 1,000 people recurring every month to month online, and that's going to be like, that was just my thing. I wanted to be helping that many people.
Awesome.
And I just wasn't putting the work in. Like I was just too comfortable. You know, and this is like I said before at the very start, like the pain wasn't great enough for me to put enough work into that to build it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had a few other things going on in my life at that time. I think I went through a breakup the year before, and like it just spurred me on. Like I was just like, I had to get out of this sameness. I had to get out of this, you know, waking up at 4 a.m. to go to the gym at 5, work out with my first client at 5, and then training people to 10 a.m. and then being back there from 4 to 9.
Yeah, right.
You know, I was doing 60 hours in the week. I was doing 60 hours a week there for a while. And yeah, it was great money, but like, what does that mean? Like that meant nothing to me. Like it's just money.
And you're a young man. You probably felt like, you know, settling into some sort of routine maybe a bit early. Was that part of it all?
Yeah, it could have been. Like it didn't sit with where I wanted to go in my life. Like I've always envisioned myself being on a property, being able to have my own cattle, have my own sheep, and just different animals where, you know, I could you know, slaughter them and have my own meat there. And I was like, how am I going to get to that if I just keep working in the gym? You know, like that's not going to become a reality.
Yeah.
And so knowing what I want, I wanted to live on a property. I wanted to have a sense of freedom over my time. That was a big thing, like a sense of freedom over my time. So I could choose when I did my work. I didn't have to be like, I had to be at the gym at 5 to 10 a.m. and then come back, you know. That was like a locked in thing. And yeah, that wasn't very freeing for me. So like knowing what I want, like I always tell people to think big, think big, think big, think big. And then when they tell me what they've thought, I say, think bigger.
Perfect.
So like 1,000 people online, I thought like that was a pretty big picture.
Yeah, that's big.
Now I don't think it's big enough, but we'll surpass 1,000 next year, and yeah, we'll push for 5, maybe 10,000. We'll see how we go. But you know, that was the picture, right? And so I knew what I was doing wasn't going to bring me to where I wanted, so I had to change. And so I was like, that's it. I've always wanted to go and see Australia. Like, you know, I've just wanted to go and explore. And ideally, I actually wanted to do it for a partner, but I didn't have a partner. So I was like, you know, I'm going to do this on my own. I'm just going to go and I'm going to dive into me. You know, like there's something about being alone for a long time where you find all those little deep dark secrets about yourself. You know.
I can imagine. I've never done it, but yeah, it's fascinating.
Yeah, there's a lot of head noise.
Right.
But there's also lots of good times. Like I had some amazing times. I met some amazing people.
Yeah.
It's a once in a lifetime experience, and I think it's big for men especially. Like we don't have that initiation sort of period like where tribes always had an initiation. We don't really have that as men now.
No, we don't, not anymore.
And
so it sort of felt like that, did it? Like
yeah.
Alone in the bush.
Yeah, like it was almost an initiation for me for my own initiation, even though I was 27 or something like that.
Yeah.
It didn't matter. Like it was something where I became very clear in myself and I became a different person because I just became so much calmer and so much. I knew what I wanted. I know what I want. But yeah, like I can still remember there was 3 separate weeks where I spent no time. I saw no one.
Wow, 3 weeks in a row.
No, it was 3 different weeks. So it's like there was one in particular where I think it was the third one.
Yeah.
Where I didn't see anyone for a whole week.
Where were you?
I was in WA. I was I was on a station in WA, and like it was awesome. It was amazing. But like I didn't see anyone for a week, besides my dog. So I didn't talk to anyone. I had no reception. So I actually didn't hear, besides for music, I didn't hear another human's voice.
Wow. So were you playing music like just like through the car stereo?
Yeah, I played music and through the car stereo, but and it's an awesome place because I was fishing, I was surfing, and I was there on like and not the peak season. That's why I didn't see anyone, and it's quite a big place.
Yeah.
I was fishing, I was spear fishing, I was surfing.
Surfing by yourself, just in the middle of
Yeah,
nowhere.
literally. It's just like one of those things. Like you don't do that. Hey, like there was, and it was quite weird because like there's no one to share that with. There's no one to be like, hey, do you remember this time we did this?
Yeah. I caught that fish yesterday.
Yeah.
Just talking to yourself.
Because I got this really good. I got a lobster. Right, I got like a decent sized lobster. And I was like, I came out, I pulled it out, I was freaking like, yahooing. And then I walked back to my camp and I was like, well, this is weird.
It's like Castaway.
I had my dog, so like, she was like Wilson. She was called Wilson. So like, and when I left there, I think I filled up my car and went to fill up at the service station, and I literally spoke to the attendee at the service station for like an hour. Like just talking to this person. Like,
so I caught this lobster.
And it's just something like it's different. I'm quite extroverted too. I love the company of other people. I'm quite happy to be on my own, but I definitely get energy being with other people. And so, it's just a totally different experience, and you really do have to become okay in your own body.
Yeah.
And that's a big problem I see of males. Like men these days aren't okay in their own body. They're not taught to be okay. They get taught to say speak up, but I don't think that's actually helping. I think it's like more something that men have to do on their own. They've got to have that time to themselves where they become okay with themselves.
Yeah. Do you mean like physically and also in their mind, or?
Yeah, physically and in the mind. Like just physically spending time away from other people, I think can be quite a strong thing for us as a society to be able to do. Because if I look, and like I'm talking about men, but women could do it too. But I can just talk about men because I've experienced it as a man, so I sort of understand what men are thinking about.
Yep.
Whereas I can't talk about a woman's experience firsthand, so I prefer not to.
Yeah.
But I know from like men's point of view, from what I see is just we don't have strong men. Like we don't have strong men physically, but we don't have strong men mentally either. They're unable to stand up. They're unable to be okay in their own body. Like if everyone's sort of hiding, and they're hiding in a way where they just follow what everyone else is doing.
Yeah, it's fascinating.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a lot easier to just follow with what everyone else is doing. But I suppose that it doesn't.
Why do you think that is?
Because then there's no judgment, and you don't even have to think. You can just go along with what's already pre-written for you.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
But in terms of growth, like in my own experience, like I've found that hard. So it's like, all right, well, am I going to voice an opinion that's different to everybody else that could cause, then I'm going to have to justify myself or whatever, or am I going to choose to live in a way that's different to everyone else? People might think it's weird.
But like, what do you think that is then?
That's sort of like the social engineering, right? Keeping everyone on the same path to basically servitude, I suppose.
Yeah. So like, why do you think you're scared of people saying stuff about you?
This is becoming a kind of like I'm on the psychologist's bed.
Now you're on the
I suppose we all have an innate desire to belong and be part of a tribe. And if there's that one big mob that might seemingly be doing okay, well, let's go join that because then we don't have to risk the judgment of leaving the mob.
Yeah.
To maybe go and achieve way more and have freedom like you did and like you do now.
Yeah, 100%. Like there's so much to it. Like there's so much to that whole status.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like where do you sit in the tribe?
Yeah, totally.
People don't want to be the outsider.
And status games they're a road to nowhere, because to get more status you have to drag other people down. And Naval talks about that a fair bit. But yeah, that's an interesting topic.
Yeah, it is, and that's why I talk about maybe one day I'll open up some sort of business where I can send guys off camping and by themselves for a week, and they've got to survive for 5 days or something. That's always been something in the back of my head that I've been thinking about doing. I'm sure it'll come out. People will start doing it, which will be a good thing for men's health. Yeah,
for sure. What's it? Is it like the personal discovery or the overcoming hardship, or what are sort of the ideas around that possible project?
I like the overcoming hardship. I think as humans we're meant to overcome hardship.
Okay.
And I think that people that aren't overcoming hardship are more likely to be depressed. And because we just get that reward, like we're humans, we like to be rewarded with that dopamine hit.
There's a sense of satisfaction when you when you do achieve something you maybe thought you couldn't, or was actually. And
what are you talking about with your friends? Like
sport, or what a comedian said, or a movie, or.
Yeah, but like even then, like say you go out with your friends, like I feel like your stories that you always come back. You might have gone out drinking with your friends sometime, right? And you come back and like. Somehow when you were drinking you overcame something, and that's always the story that you guys laugh about later on.
Yeah, okay, I see what you mean. Yeah, so it's like making those memories.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
and I find overcoming things, it's something that we're drawn into. I think if you find like all stories that we're drawn to, if you look at sporting stories, we like to see what they had and what they overcame, because then we can see ourselves in it.
So I've heard you talk about the hero's journey. Is this the hero's journey?
That's part of the hero's journey.
Okay.
It's part of the hero's journey, yeah.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I suppose all good stories, or most good stories or moments with friends, like often, something random has happened. And it might be like on a night out where you've gotten lost or something, or you didn't think you could get into a party that then you did. And, they often have that kind of, or something goes wrong on a camping trip and that becomes a story that you guys tell forever, So maybe we need more hardship.
Yeah, I definitely think so. It's just funny you talking about that. It's like when I came back from traveling Australia and I spoke to people like my mates and stuff about what it was like, and like all the good times and stuff. But when I brought up the hard times, most people couldn't fathom that because they haven't experienced that. Whereas most people have experienced like little hardships,
right? And
so they can understand it.
So what's an example of a hardship that you had on the trip?
A hardship that I had on the trip definitely was the hardest thing was being alone.
Loneliness, or being alone.
Yeah, being alone, loneliness. That was by far the biggest. Yeah, right. And you don't know what it's like to not connect with other humans until you've done that.
100%. Did you ever did you ever doubt yourself? Like maybe, when you did like the week where you didn't see anyone, did you ever kind of think halfway through, oh, am I crazy to be out here by myself?
Plenty of times.
Yeah,
plenty of times.
Now that I think about it, like if I don't speak to somebody for speak to anyone for say 24 hours, like Grace is away or whatever, then I start to think, mate, you're a lunatic. You're not socialising. You're just hanging out by yourself. Was that kind of...
Yeah, so I don't think like that. You're also crazy.
I jumped to it a little bit too quickly, but that. I don't know. Was that kind of the thing?
No, well, it wasn't exactly like that. It was more like. How can I put it? Like it's more just like, what am I doing out here? Like why? Maybe I can't do this on my own, sort of thing. It's like,
okay.
Maybe I do need someone here with me. Like, so I actually have a story. I got to Northern Territory, and I think it was about 3 months in or something like that, 4 months in, and I was I didn't have a heap of money. I didn't have a lot of money coming in from RDC at that stage. Like I only had 20 members or something, and so that wasn't really enough to keep me going. I had a bit saved up, but that was going. So I'm looking at my bank accounts going down, and I'm like sort of like halfway, and I'm like trying to do the math. Like, am I going to make it on this amount of money?
Yeah, I need another tank of petrol.
Yeah. I need food. All these things. Like it's like, oh yeah, I want to go and swim with the whale sharks and WA and stuff like that. Anyway, I was up top of. I went to Kakadu, and so in Kakadu, there's some really nice waterfalls and stuff like that, really cool places. And I was there in the afternoon, and there's lots of backpackers there and stuff. And it was good because I actually, I spoke to people, and you meet people and talk to all those small talk sort of stuff.
Where you from?
Yeah. And it was afternoon, sun was setting, and. Yeah, it was surreal because I just stopped talking to people. I was just watching the sun. And I was just thinking what am I doing? What am I going to keep on going, or am I going to go back now? Am I done? I miss my friends. I miss my family. All I wanted was to have a family meal with my family. And usually I don't really care for those sort of things. I didn't really appreciate how much I liked those things. Was just having people around, being able to just go and get dinner with my mates, or just go and see my mates. I didn't realize how much I appreciated that until that moment where I was standing up there. I was watching the sunset, and I saw all these other groups of people who were with their friends and laughing. I'm just standing there by myself, being like, "Wow, this is a surreal moment." That was real. So I had a few tears in my eyes. I was just like, what are you doing? What are you doing? And I called one of my mates. I called Rose. Yeah. And I was like, mate, I think I'm done, hey. I think I'm going to come home. I just can't keep going with myself. And he was like, I said, money and this and that. And I've gone to these nice places. That's another thing. You go to these nice places and like I said, you didn't experience with anyone.
Yeah,
so there's no one to be like
memory, right?
Yeah. So there's no one to be like, hey, you remember that time we went to Kakadu and we're sitting there and the sunset came down. It was freaking sick. There's people doing fire twirling and stuff. So I've got those memories. But yes, that was there too, and that was real. That was man, what am I doing? What matters in my life? What I really made this decision my family and friends actually play a much larger role in my life than I realized, and it gave me a lot of gratitude for what I did have. Anyway, when I left there, I was coming back down. I could either go straight and then go back down and go back to South Australia and sort of cut back in through New South Wales.
Yep.
Or I could go left and go back down through Queensland, or I could go right. It was literally this crossroads. Right was to go to WA and go to the Kimberleys.
Keep going.
Yeah, keep doing it. And I sort of took a deep breath and turned right and just kept going. And obviously I don't regret that, but it was awesome because I always wanted to do the Kimberleys. I always wanted to go to Lake Argyle. Have you seen Lake Argyle?
I've seen photos.
Yeah, it's amazing.
I've been to the Kimberley. It's seriously beautiful.
Yeah, it's amazing. Once again, somewhere you want to go and experience with someone. So I can't wait to do that again some stage.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a real. That moment there on the trip, that was a real turning moment for me too. That, and just probably in my life, and just being more grateful for who I've got in my life, what I'm doing. How many people get to train people online and get to work from anywhere I do. And I'm not saying that people can't go and set up online businesses and work from anywhere, because they can. I just don't think people believe themselves enough to do that. They're just so conditioned to what's normal, what's easy. The easy way to make money is to go and trade your time for money.
You get a guaranteed salary.
And you'll get a bonus every 10 years, every 2 years. or you get more money every 2 years. So there's really, there's no need to push outside that comfort zone. So yeah, my life changed massively on that because I'm just so comfortable getting outside my comfort zone.
Yeah.
So comfortable going into what I'm thinking and my own insecurities and being okay with my own insecurities.
Yeah, wow. I think hearing you talk about it now, it makes me realise that it's more challenging to just go and be alone for 8 months and drive across Australia, because I see the highlight photos and I'm like, that looks freaking awesome, but at the same time, like, you are alone and there's no set plan, that kind of like pure freedom and no structure or itinerary is actually pretty daunting in itself.
Well, and I'm a structured guy. Like, I like to get up and work out, have my breakfast, like to get my certain amount of work done that I need to do.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it was very very different, especially for an extrovert. Like, if you're an introvert and you just love being by yourself, and I like being by myself, but I think you'd be better off at it. Like my good mate Adam Kavanagh. He's often alone, but he still comes and sees people, and he still gets in amongst people. He's
I think he finds it a bit easier being alone.
I think he's found it a bit easier. I think he's done it for long enough now, but I still know that he likes to be with people. For sure. I definitely know he's gone deep into himself and he's now very comfortable, being on his own, being with his own insecurities.
Fascinating. I'm not sure where to go.
You wanted to dive into that, so I thought. We've talked about men's health, so like men's health is a big thing. In the nutrition stuff goes with the men's health. Like, I find if we can have more of this approach where, there's something that I hate hearing is like stay in your lane, and it's like, no, like everyone needs to be able to talk about things, because when everyone's able to talk about things, then more ideas are going to be expressed, and we're going to, there's going to be some bad ideas expressed, fine, so be it, but we're also going to have really good ideas expressed, and there needs to be some sort of collaboration on both.
Yeah, totally, because you think about, as we were talking about before, so many people aren't expressing any ideas. And then so if there's just sort of compounding effect that should be working like this, if no one's contributing to it, then things aren't getting better. Yeah,
definitely. And that's a big thing for men's health. Like there's this whole like thing with testosterone right now. It's like, be a beta male pretty much. Like don't have a high testosterone male. Like testosterone's bad.
Yeah.
And like I push back on that. As you know, like I actually know the opposite. As a male with high testosterone is actually calm.
Oh, absolutely. And they're less likely to do something crazy. They're less likely to pull other people down. I've found. They're not as obsessed with status like what we were talking about before. They're calm and they're happy and they go and do things for themselves. As opposed to hanging out on forums and feeling depressed all day. Yeah,
exactly. And even like trying, like you said, like that you don't need to prove yourself.
Yeah.
Like as a male with high testosterone, you're going to feel so much calmer, and like a lot of things would be a lot better if we had higher testosterone males.
Yeah. But we're told that no, we need to water everyone down, make everyone weak. That'll make us safer somehow.
Yeah. I think it's quite the opposite actually. Like,
I agree.
Yeah.
But if you've got the mental stillness to go out to push by yourself, for 8 months, and you don't have to prove anything to anyone else, I mean, isn't that a sign of being calm and then if you're also a productive person, like, isn't that what we should be? Yeah, I'm seeing the pieces form together here.
Yeah, well, I think there's no right way to do life. It's just like I do think though, like purpose. You need to have some sort of purpose. Purpose can drive us. And if you don't have a purpose, then I'm going to tell you this right now, someone else is making a purpose of you. So you become a purpose for someone else.
You become their pawn in the game.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
So that's why I think if you have a purpose, it's going to be really strong. Oh, your life's gonna be different. Rite of passage. That's what it's called. I was like thinking the whole time.
Oh, for like young men going.
Yes,
like
rites of passage.
Yeah.
That's what we don't have.
Yeah.
That was killing me. I was like, what is that word? I got it. It came to me. It came back. I was like, it's there.
I like it. But I think maybe there should be a few rites of passage because you don't want to sort of, I think you want to be challenged consistently.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like it's going to sound weird, but you don't know what you don't know, and you can't see what you don't know you don't know what's there. And it's funny because like even with my own journey, like I'm very calm these days. I used to be quite aggressive. I'm very relaxed. I'm very sure. But even then, like I still find that like these little insecurities that I didn't even know were there. They still come up. Like I've just recently, like I've seen them come up. But I know how to deal with them, and I know how to go into them, and I know how to become okay with them. And I'm quite quick now at becoming okay with them. Whereas before it would take me like weeks and weeks of working on this one thing.
You sort of recognise it's coming up and you're like, whoa.
Yeah, where are you coming from? It's like, okay, what's this thing coming from? Like, what's it stemming from?
Yeah.
And that happens. Like, once again, that's something that we're not really taught how to do. But, and like I said, so like if you had one rite of passage, then you're going to get to this level over here. And then you can either spiral down from that, you can either come back down, or you can go up.
Yeah.
You can get better. And as you get better, you're going to be dealing with bigger things. You're going to be dealing with deeper things.
Yeah, I like that. Kind of take one step up and then you can choose whether you want to keep going.
But you won't see the second step up until you've done that one step up.
Yeah, totally.
So you've got to take that first step first to be able to even see that second step. And you'll hit that second step and you'll be like, oh man, there's a third step?
Yeah, it's not going to stop.
Yeah, it's not going to stop. There's just going to be things there, and that's fine. And that's the beauty of life, isn't it? To keep getting better, to keep evolving.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I think that's the whole purpose, right? Keep learning something.
Yeah.
I feel like you're moving forward, because if you feel like you're going backwards or you're staying still, you'll go after sort of instant gratification, I think, which is a path to nowhere. Awesome. All right, Pat. Well, mate, we talked about nutrition, talked about what to eat if you're a rugby player or an athlete, and then we talked about freedom. We talked about rites of passage, why we need more testosterone.
Eating meat's an easy way to get more testosterone.
Okay, there you go. Get on the Mackenzie's mates.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. All right, Pat. Let's wrap it up there. Thank you so much, mate. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, it was good. Good chat.
Brilliant.
Who would have thought?
I kind of thought. Yeah, I thought. I've chatted to you enough to know that we'll be going into some interesting places. But fantastic. All right. Well, I hope everyone got something out of that. It'd be hard not to. Thanks for tuning in, and until next time.